All right, everybody, welcome back from spring break. A lot has changed since the last time we talked, so we have to make some quick adjustments. So I will first start off by saying that I know this is, even though this class was online to begin with, some of you are taking some on-ground courses that have now moved online. I know, there's going to be people's lives that are in disarray. So I understand all that. If you are somebody that is struggling with an issue like that, let me know. And you don't have to give me the details of everything, but you can just let me know that you're going through something, and we can work on, maybe arranging a due date or figuring how we can make this work. So I know some people are in complete disarray. If you feel like you're that person, let me know early so we can try to work something out. If you feel like you're just a normal person in normal disarray, like me and a lot of us right now, the nice thing is this class can still be your constant, because really nothing has changed for this course. As you know, it was online to begin with. Everything is all set out. There are a few, I shouldn't say nothing has changed. There are a few little adjustments. One being your profile story that you're working on right now, which hopefully you saw the announcement saying I moved the due date back. But maybe you were planning on meeting somewhere or going somewhere to talk to somebody. You can't do that now. So we'll talk about that. Another change is when we get to our final project, our final story, which could be a hard news story or another profile story. The hard news story now is most likely going to be out, right? Because it's going to be hard to go to an event or cover something that's breaking, because there are not going to be too many things going on. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But besides that, maybe just tweaking how we approach our assignments. Nothing else has changed in this class. The only thing that has changed is if you feel like you need to do some kind of an adjustment and personalize it with me. Like I said, message me and we'll figure out how we can maybe make it work with whatever situation you're dealing with. Okay, so, I'll talk about, before we go into this week, I'll just go again into the profile story. So I'm going to go to due dates here. Your profile story was supposed to be due here, right, on the 29th. I moved it back to April 5th. Give you an extra week because I know maybe you lost a week dealing with whatever arrangements you had to do when we all had to make adjustments of going home and having childcare or whatever your situation is. So I'll give you an extra week to do that. I also understand that you might not be able to go. Maybe you were planning on meeting the person as you're going to go profile, like go in person and do it, and you're not able to now for whatever reason. This gives you an extra week to make any adjustments that you need. If you can't go meet the person, phone call, Skype, FaceTime, whatever. Just something face to face is a little bit better still, or even a phone call. You can still do that. What I'm having you try to avoid now is, I know it'd be tempting because you can't go talk to this person. If you're not able to go talk to this person face to face, is just to do email. And I'm going to ask you to please try to avoid that with your interviews. The reason why is, I'll give you two quick reasons, and I won't bog this down too much, but two quick reasons. One is you lose that in the moment being able to do a follow-up question. So you ask a question, they start to talk about it, and you say, wow, that's really interesting what they're saying, and then you ask them to expand on it. Or you have another quick follow-up, you weren't sure exactly what they meant by something, so you ask them to follow up. What did you really mean by blah, 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 blah. So it gives you that, when you're face-to-face or when you're talking to the person, it gives you that chance in the moment to pick up on things and to expand on things. And as you know, you lose a little bit of that face-to-face. When you lose face-to-face interaction, what you lose is picking up on the nonverbal cues. So maybe they say something and you can see some excitement in their voice, and that was a big impact in their life. So you want to continue on and you keep asking about that. Or you lose that if you're just reading an email. So I want you to try to do this, like I said, in some form of face-to-face or phone call, where you're actually listening, talking, responding to the person. Don't just send email questions. Another reason why is, if you send a bunch of questions through email, what ends up happening is people kind of get tired and want to keep typing. So they just give you one sentence answers, or they don't really expand on it, or some people just aren't great writers. So they're not going to be able to, they don't have a mastery of the English language, and their writing is just kind of, their thoughts are kind of poor in the way that they write, and what they give you doesn't make any sense either. So avoid that temptation, even though we're moving to a virtual world here, and just keep everything in some way that you can, whatever way that you interview this person, that you can talk to them. It really is going to make your life that much easier too when you have to go and write the story. With that said, though, I know that you're going to have to make that adjustment. I'd also ask you to avoid the temptation, even though we are social distancing, we're not in groups, we can't meet as many people. Don't interview your sister or your parents or your roommate. Again, try to go outside the box a little bit. If there's some way you can talk to a neighbor, or like I said, if you are going to talk to somebody anyways, or going to meet them, just say, hey, can we do this another way now, Skype or phone call. Still do that. Still try to find people. If you have to maybe contact you're going to interview someone that you can't go see now, maybe talk to one of your professors and see if you can call them or Skype with them, right? What I'm trying to say is, again, go outside your comfort zone. Even though we can't meet in crowds, you're not necessarily interacting with the same people you see every day because your routines have changed. Please still go outside your comfort zone and interview somebody that you don't know well, just like interview an acquaintance, someone that you know, but that you haven't known for years, and their story, because again, it's going to make your story that much better if you're interviewing somebody that you really come in almost blind and know very little about, and that's going to force you to ask the right types of questions. All right, so continue working on that feature story. Let's actually go to our weekly content right now. Week 9. So I skipped ahead here, but continue working on your profile story, right? So you have another 2 weeks now to get that done. For this week, there's no graded quiz again. We're going to start getting back into the swing of things. I always do this after spring break because I feel like you need that week to reset and remember everything that you've forgotten probably 8 weeks prior, right? So we're going to get back into the swing of things. Even more important, I think, this week because of everything that's been going on. So this week is really just a review week. It's kind of like a midterm, not as far as grade, but like a midterm review, going over some of the points that I think are generally weak for the class. Like classes just struggle with this. It's something new in journalism when you're writing. So I'm going to be going over some of those points again, and just going over things that they're mentioned in your book, but still you might have gotten lost. As you're going through this stuff, you're focusing on lead inverted pyramid and structure and all this. And these are kind of like the fine points that I want to make sure that we go over together as a class. So what you're going to be doing is a practice assignment. No points into this. It's just you're going to go through it. You're going to practice it. There's no time limit. I just want you to go through this practice assignment. And then after that, you will watch this video that goes over I have the answers after you submit the practice assignment, but then watch the video too, about 13 minutes. And it goes over each one of those questions in more detail, so you really understand, what I meant and how you're supposed to do it correctly moving forward. So I'll actually just click on it right now. Here's the practice assignment. You can see there's no time limit or anything, not like your quizzes. It's not multiple choice like your quizzes. It's really you fixing things. So fix the leads, and you're going to just rewrite these leads here. What's wrong with this is what's wrong with the way this is written? Fix it, and you're going to just fix these paragraphs. What's wrong with the way this story is written, right? So you get the idea. Fix these quotes. Just a few questions here. Go over, fix them, do your best. It is everything. They are things that we've let me get back here, that we've worked on before. But so again, like I said, some of them are those fine-tuned points. After you go through that, watch this video. I go over it with you, and hopefully then you feel better after all that. This week really, again, is dedicated to kind of just getting back in the swing of things. More importantly, this part here, working on your profile story. Especially if you haven't even interviewed anybody yet, this is the week to do it, right? Because it's also going to be hard. Even if you had a plan to interview with somebody, they might now have situations going on in their lives. So you might have to find somebody else. So get somebody to interview this week. Hopefully you already have that information and start writing it this week. You got 2 weeks to do that. And the last thing I will leave us with is read news every day. More important than ever, right? And I mean, as much as this is a nerve-wracking time, it's also an amazing time to be taking a journalism class. You are going to get to see there's some quality journalism out there right now. Journalists doing amazing work. And with this story, you're probably reading the news every day anyways, right? So now focus on how do they tell a story? How do you cover something like the coronavirus that is unprecedented? How do you cover a story objectively when this can be a scary topic, right? How do you, as a journalist, remove yourself from that and cover this story objectively, getting facts out there? How do you cover facts when facts are hard to even get right now? Think about these things as you're reading the news stories and see how these pros are doing it. And it's just, again, it's an amazing time to be witnessing history. You'll often hear this quote about journalism: journalism is the first draft of history, right? So it's not, when you're doing this as a journalist and you're writing these stories, you can't see the future, right? You only are trying to figure things out in the moment. Another quote you hear for journalism, it's the closest possible version to the truth. The reason why we say the closest possible version is it's not that a journalist is trying to lie or make up stuff, but you don't have facts are coming in every minute. Things are changing. You don't have the benefit of hindsight and, like a historian, and seeing all the pieces, how they all connected, and then putting it together. You are in the moment trying to decipher what is going on, and give some kind of a version of the truth, the closest thing that you know to what is accurate in the moment. So it's a draft. It's your first draft of history. This is what historians usually look back on, right? A lot of times they look back on the news stories of the day. So I always thought that was a very virtuous and amazing part of being a journalist, is that people 25, 50, 100 years from now could be looking back at the work that you produce and using it to figure out what was going on in this time. Because now, after they've had those years to look back and reflect, they can kind of piece it all together, but they were relying on your first reporting, right? So put that all in mind too when you're reading all these stories and keeping up with the news, that this is the first version of history that journalists are trying to put together in real time. All right, any other questions? You guys know what to do. You can just hit me up over here in the messages. But ease back into it this week. Please let me know if you're having issues, and we can talk about that. And otherwise, I'll see you next week. Business as usual.